Here we go, it's day 2. We're going to dissolve our name. So we're learning keyframes, we're learning about particle systems, and we're going to create something cool. You can use it as on a website, or you can do whatever you want with it when you're done. It looks pretty darn cool though, so you're going to want to keep it for sure. So let's go ahead and open up our file. Let's open up recent, and let's open up our dissolve name. And you should have something that looks similar to this. So we need to add some keyframes. Let's just take a look and see what we have so far. If I hit the play button, alright, so we have a particle system made of cubes with a force field. And so what we need to do is we need to go to frame 1. So go ahead and type 1 right there and hit enter. And that's going to take it back to frame 1. And we're going to add a keyframe. So we need to go into our particle system. So click on your text, go to your particle system, and let's find the render. And right where it says show emitter, we're going to put a keyframe on there. So remember, to insert a keyframe, you press I for insert, and if you hover over that check mark and press I, you insert a keyframe on this emitter, and you'll see a keyframe appear in the timeline. Now we're going to change the frame to frame 30, and we're going to put another keyframe on there. And what that's going to do is it's going to make sure that that is visible for those frames from 1 to 30. And then at frame 31, we want that text to disappear because it's going to be overcome by our particle system. So go to frame 31, and then we're going to uncheck the emitter, and we are going to insert another keyframe. So there's a keyframe at 1, there's a keyframe at 30, there's a keyframe at 31. Now, what we want to have happen is these particles, we want them to get smaller and smaller and smaller and eventually disappear. So we're going to put some keyframes on the size of the particles. So on frame 31, we'll go over to the scale of our object, which is our cube that we added, and we're going to put a keyframe on there. Press I. And then we're going to go to frame 130. That's going to be the end of our animation. And we're going to change the size to 0.001. Very, very small. And we're going to insert a keyframe there by pressing I. And it turns yellow there. So let's see what we have so far. You can see them getting smaller and eventually disappearing. Now, your text doesn't disappear, and it won't disappear until you render it. So you won't be able to see that. So for today, what we're going to do is we're going to add a plane. We're going to add something for this to sit on, and we'll set up our lighting, and we're going to render it. Okay. So add a mesh plane. And we need to rotate that plane so it's a floor that sits underneath our name. So let's rotate it. If you press R, you can rotate it on that axis. If you press Y, you can rotate it on the Y axis. Z, you can rotate it on the Z axis. So we need to rotate it on X. And we're going to type in 90 degrees so it sits flat. I'm going to press G to grab it and lock it on X and put it right in the middle, and I'm going to scale it S100. It's just going to be a big long piece that we're going to use for the ground, and we don't want our text to be getting sucked up in it, so let's just move our text up just a little bit. Click up the arrows, move it up just a little bit, make sure it's not hanging through. And that should work. I'm going to go ahead and click on Z to go back to my top view, and I should see it right there. Alright, so let's add a material to our floor. Click Materials, click New. We're going to use a mix shader, so not the principled BSDF. Click Mix Shader, so we can add 2 different kinds of shaders. And we're going to add a shader similar to what we did for our coffee cup. So shader number 1, we'll add diffuse, so it's going to have some color. And it's going to be white, or you can add You can add a little bit of a color if you want. If you want to see it, make sure you go to Material Preview. And then for the second shader, we're going to add Glossy. Okay, we're going to change the FAC value down a little bit so it's more focused on the color than the glossy. I'm going to make mine pretty ugly. Cool. Alright. And now we need to make sure that the particles don't fall through the floor, so we're going to add some physics. So let's go over to our Physics tab. Right there. And just click Collision. So now it won't let any of those particles fall through this floor. Let's check our camera view. Oh no, this is terrible. What are we going to do? We need to point our camera straight at our name. So there is a hotkey combination that will align your camera to whatever it is you're looking at, which is a very handy feature. So I'm going to press Control, Alt, and 0 on my number pad all at the same time, and that's going to focus on whatever I am looking at. And remember, you can click this little arrow to open this menu, click View, and you can always lock your camera to view to be able to move things around and put things in position. Now if I pan it, I can just pan it right into my view and center it the way I want it to look. Now I'm going to go ahead and unlock the camera to view so I can zoom in a little bit. And now we just have to adjust our lighting. So let's check our render. And that actually doesn't look too bad. I'll get out of the camera view. And there's my lamp. It's hanging off on the side there. I kind of want my lamp to be behind my camera and shining down toward my object. So, whoa. I'm going to go ahead and press the period on my number pad so it refocuses on that. My orbit is very strange right now. I'm getting lost. Ah! Okay. So I'm going to move, no, not that. Control Z to undo your boo-boo. I want to get my lamp. Where did you go, Mr. Lamp? There you are. Alright, I'm going to put that behind the camera. That's orbiting very strangely still. Ooh. Alright, now that I clicked on my light, I can click on this little light bulb and I can change the lamp properties. The color is fine. I'm going to change the power to 5,000. And I'm going to change the size to 3. Whoa. Is that too bright? I don't know. Let's go back to our camera view and take a look. No, it looks pretty good. Alright. So, if you click on your name, you'll see your keyframes. And it ends at 250. I don't want to render all 250 frames when my animation really ends at 130. So I'll go ahead and I'll just chop it right there at 140. So I'm going to end it at 140. It'll start at frame 1, end at 140, and we're ready to set up our render. So click on the printer. This is our output. And remember, you don't want it to go into some weird temporary folder. Click on the folder, set your destination. So where's it going to go? Let's see. I want mine to go here. And I'm going to name it Name Dissolve Render. I'll accept that. That doesn't really save anything. It just tells my program, hey, when I'm going to render, this is where I want it to go. And make sure you don't leave it as a PNG file, otherwise you're going to have 140 separate files. So change it to FFmpeg video. And go up to render and render your animation. And take a look. Oh, that's a problem. We left our cube in there. So I'm going to press escape to get out of that on my keyboard. Escape, escape. I need to get rid of that cube. So here's my cube, and I need to make sure that it does not show up in my render. Is there an option for that here? It says material. Can I eliminate that from the render? Can I delete it? I don't think so. You can't delete it because it is your particle. So in my output, I'm going to figure this out. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm just going to unhide it, and I'm just going to move that cube out of the scene. Just push it off the scene. We won't see it. No harm, no foul. And let's go ahead and render. Render animation. And here we go. So frame 3, frame 4, frame 5. And as soon as we get to 20, you should see the particles emerge. Here they come. As soon as we get to 30, you should see the name disappear. The name is now gone. Now the particles are getting smaller in size. And the turbulence is making them go into an interesting pattern. Uh-oh. Our collision is not working. The cubes are falling through the floor. We'll have to go back and fix that. I'll do a re-render. And another thing, you can change this gray background. That's kind of ugly. You can change that to like a black. Make it look a little bit cleaner. Or you can change it to transparent if you prefer. Still looks pretty cool even though my particles are falling through the floor. But I'll go ahead and do a re-render and we'll go from there. So my file came out pretty good, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to go ahead and click on the floor and make sure that I enabled that collision in physics so nothing goes through there. So I go to the physics tab and I make sure I click that, and yes I did. So I'll go ahead and put collision on my text as well. So I'll click that one, and now I should be able to render it and those particles will not fall through the floor. I hope you guys had a good time. I enjoyed having you guys in class. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday season. Stay safe, and when you come back, please come visit me in my classroom. And if you have a passion for creating things in 3D, bring your Tinkercad ideas, bring your Blender ideas, and I will give you access to the printers and you can print some stuff and show off. Alright, it's been a pleasure. Bye bye.